French President Emmanuel Macron said he will name a new prime minister within days in a televised evening address.
In an exclusive Euronews interview, former NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen has warned Donald Trump of parallels between Ukraine and Afghanistan.
As mass protests grip Georgia, Zelensky sanctioned the pro-Russian part of the country's government he says is surrendering to Putin.
Defense Minister takes all responsibility for military's actions as South Korean parliament prepares to vote for the president's impeachment. Accused with high treason, they might face the death penalty.
French President Emmanuel Macron said he will name a new prime minister within days in a televised evening address. This followed a no-confidence vote that toppled Prime Minister Michel Barnier on Wednesday. During Macron's address, he accused the extremes of uniting in an anti-Republican front.
Je n'assumerai jamais l'irresponsabilité des autres, et notamment des parlementaires qui ont choisi en conscience de faire tomber le budget et le gouvernement de la France à quelques jours des fêtes de Noël.
The political dispute stemmed from disagreements over the 2025 budget. While Macron thanked the former Prime Minister Barnier, he became the shortest-serving head of government under the Fifth Republic. Macron also took the occasion to remind the French that they had 30 months left under his mandate. With a deficit of 6.2% GDP, France already has the worst budget imbalance in the Eurozone.
The collapse of the French government by a vote of no confidence and snap parliamentary elections in February in Germany. Entangled in domestic political crises, Paris and Berlin could now lose influence on the European stage. Could the breakdown of the Franco-German engine in turn weaken the European Union?
Il y a un manque de stabilité politique dans plusieurs pays, pas seulement en France, en Allemagne, aussi par exemple en Roumanie. On sait qu'en Belgique aussi, il y a eu des phases où il n'y a pas eu de gouvernement. Le problème avec la France et l'Allemagne, c'est que sans ces deux pays, la politique européenne devient très compliquée, puisque ça reste les pays démographiquement les plus forts et économiquement aussi les plus importants. Donc d'avoir pas de gouvernement en Allemagne jusqu'à juin 2025 environ, et d'avoir une situation très compliquée en France, cela veut dire que ce sera plus compliqué pour la Commission européenne d'avoir des initiatives ambitieuses.
Political instability on both sides of the Rhine comes at a critical time. As Donald Trump prepares to return to the White House, he threatens to raise tariffs and leaves doubt about his support for Ukraine. The new commission, which has just taken office, must also take urgent decisions on competitiveness and defense.
Il est clair que pour faire avancer notamment la politique de défense à l'échelle de l'Union européenne, il faut un tandem vraiment fort, parce que ce sont ces deux pays qui ont déjà en fait lancé des projets de grande envergure entre des compagnies comme Airbus, Dassault, dans le cadre des projets industriels de coopération comme le SCAF, mais aussi de chars conjoints comme le MGCS.
In the face of the declining Franco-German leadership, other countries such as Donald Tusk's Poland or the UK, although it has left the EU, could step up, especially on defence and security issues. However, the cards are far from being redistributed. Germany and France together account for almost half of the EU's GDP, nearly 1/3 of its population, and about 1/3 of its budget.
As the French government disintegrates following a no-confidence vote against its prime minister, demonstrators took to the streets to protest his proposed budget bill, which prompted the motion. Prime Minister Michel Barnier proposed to slash €40 billion in public spending and raise taxes by €20 billion. Public service unions called for a national day of action and strike as Barnier's budget was deemed unacceptable by many.
Ça ne change rien parce que de toute façon les gouvernements changent et le service public est de plus en plus mal loti. Donc on n'a pas des hauts niveaux de salaire, on a très peu d'avantages, on a la sécurité de l'emploi, mais là maintenant on se pose la question de savoir si demain on l'aura encore.
Protesters expressed concerns about the proposed budget, particularly regarding compensation and sick leave for civil servants, as the country waits to see what will happen with the next government.
Former NATO Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen believes that Ukraine could become a member of NATO if the war with Russia should end. In an exclusive interview with Euronews, he invited US President-elect Donald Trump to avoid Ukraine becoming his Afghanistan.
I have a very clear message to the new president in the US, Trump. I would say to him, don't let Ukraine become your Afghanistan. Don't let Putin defeat you. Be a strong leader, seek peace in Ukraine, but a fair, a just and lasting peace that will guarantee security of Ukraine in the future.
Rasmussen believes that with Trump's support, an end to the war might be possible, but it would require military support.
Say that we got to get this thing finished.
President Trump does not like to be a loser. He wants to be the winner. And to be a winner, you need a good deal. And a good deal in Ukraine would require some leverage. You can do that by providing more weapons for Ukraine. You can do it by lifting all restrictions on the use of those weapons. So it might well be that Putin would be negatively surprised by President Trump.
One of the crucial negotiating terms will be the future of Ukraine. And although Russia could see it as a provocation, the former NATO Secretary General thinks that Ukraine should become a member of the alliance.
A good peace would be a fair and just peace that would be accepted by the Ukrainian people. The Ukrainian people has suffered so much in blood and treasure that a settlement that will guarantee the security of Ukraine in the future. And in my opinion, the only ironclad security guarantee would be to allow Ukraine into NATO and be covered by NATO's Article 5.
He agrees that more investment will be needed to increase NATO security. Each member must increase GDP spending on the alliance from 2 to 3%.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky announced sanctions against the pro-Russian part of the Georgian government. As protests gripped Georgia, Zelensky stressed the importance of standing united against Moscow and not losing countries in the region, naming Georgia, Moldova and Ukraine as examples.
Це санкції проти тієї частини влади зараз в Грузії, яка здає Грузію Путіну. Саме проти цього зараз в Грузії протести. Важливо, щоб партнери також зараз говорили про свою позицію, чесно заявляли про те, що відбувається, і треба діяти.
Georgia is gripped by mass protests triggered by the governing party's decision to suspend negotiations on joining the EU. During the past 6 nights, Georgian riot police used water cannons and tear gas to disperse demonstrators, who built barricades and threw fireworks at police.
As Poland prepares to become the next president of the Council of the European Union, Prime Minister Donald Tusk has said he is willing to sustain controversial measures on migration despite criticism from the bloc. The remarks were made during a meeting with the President of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola, in Warsaw this Thursday.
Nie wszyscy są zachwyceni polskimi inicjatywami typu możliwość czasowego zawieszenia prawa do azylu, składania aplikacji. Wiem o tym, że to u niektórych budzi emocje. To się potwierdziło także w dzisiejszym spotkaniu, ale chcę tylko potwierdzić, że na pewno Polska będzie prowadziła tutaj twardą politykę na poziomie narodowym.
Metsola said Poland will face geopolitical challenges, including EU security and competitiveness.
At this very critical moment, we are facing enormous challenges with Russia threatening our borders and trying to destabilize democracies, with our companies that are trailing American and Chinese rivals.
Poland's presidency will start on the 1st of January and last for 6 months.
Oponentów czy przeciwników.
South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol replaced his defense minister Kim Yong-kyun as opposition parties moved to impeach both men over the short-lived martial law that the parliament annulled. Minister Kim offered to resign and apologize for causing disruption and concern to the public, saying troops acted on his instructions and that all responsibility lies with him. The joint motion to impeach the president was forwarded to the National Assembly to be voted on Saturday evening. Meanwhile, in protest of the president, large crowds gathered outside the parliament for a candlelit vigil. Yoon, on the other hand, who risks being prosecuted for high treason, hasn't appeared in public since his televised announcement that martial law was lifted. Opposition lawmakers already voted on Thursday to impeach the chairman of South Korea's auditing board and 3 top public prosecutors. The prosecutors were accused of watering down an investigation involving Yoon's wife, who was linked to suspected stock price manipulation. Impeaching the president would require support from 2/3 of the National Assembly, which is 200 of its 300 members. The opposition parties together have 192 seats, with support from 18 lawmakers that belong to an anti-Yoon faction in his party. But this faction said they would work against the impeachment. If Yoon is impeached, he will be suspended until the Constitutional Court rules on whether to remove him from office. High treason is punishable by death under South Korean law. The country retains the death penalty, but it has not carried out any executions since 1997.